So here, so what we see is the cleavage speed. Since he's still young, it's not a good idea to compare his speed with you know, the skilled male golfers. So these are adults, including the tour professionals, teaching professionals, and the college players. So it's way below. But so currently the cleavage speed came out as a 77.3. So it'll be about 80 miles per hour. And then the swing time is close to 1200 milliseconds here. And I think if possible, it'll be beneficial to increase the backswing speed a bit more, so make a backswing a bit faster. Because there are many benefits of a faster backswing. Okay? And then this is the top view, and this is the impact here. But this large rectangle here, this is showing the swing plane, which is based on the club head motion. So essentially, he's throwing the club head in this direction here, where this is the target line. So the club head is moving slightly inward. And then it's about 6 degrees inward. It's because he has to pull it in. Okay? So in other words, he's dragging it. So at the end of the backswing, instead of waiting here, his body is already turning like this and then dragging all the way. That's why the club is going inward. This is quite common among junior players.
Yeah, his arm is stuck behind. It's been years we can't fix it.
So it's because the timing is too quick. So in the transition, you have to have a bit more time and wait until the backswing is completed. And in the downswing, the goal should be throwing the club head. But before this is completed, your body is already start turning here. And after you are dragging it here. That's why,
But I should still be transferring my weight before the top of my backswing.
you're shifting slightly toward the target. It's called the recentering. So that's okay. But then with the recentering, you will have a bit more time to wait it. And then when this is completed, your goal should be throwing the club head fast instead of dragging it.
So you're saying backswing need to be fast, but on top should be slowed down.
So at the top, in the transition, he needs to have a bit more time. So fast motion here, but then before going into a downswing, he has to have more time so that the body is ready. And then try to mainly throw the club head instead of dragging it here. So because the body is turning too quick, and then the arm is staying behind, that's why he has the stag elbow problem. So it's a matter of timing of the transition.
But we so many coach told us the problem, no one can fix it. and he was saying, okay, so if I just wait when it's down and then go, he felt he lost the
Then you feel that you're weak.
Yeah.
So what should happen is it's like imagine you're shooting an arrow. So you pull the bow and then build the tension. So when you have more time at the top, it should be the process of building tension and then finally let it go. It's not you go up and then just come and then try to do something here. Rather, you're winding up here and then so elongating the muscles and winding up, building the tension, and then at the right time, let it go. And the key should be throwing the club head, because what matters is club head speed. Okay.
So I want to feel more like I'm throwing like my arms in the club head
So
forward.
have a more mature wind up, the wait until when the tension is built enough, and then let it go.
But I shouldn't be trying to turn a lot with my hips, more like throwing the club
Yeah,
head.
the key should be in motion of the club head. Your goal is to throw the club head fast instead of turning the body and dragging. Okay. So actually, this winter I was traveling in Asia, and I had a junior boy. He's almost 10 years old from India. So he flew from India to Bangkok.
Oh, Thailand.
Yeah. And then he had the same problem,
Yeah.
and he could change the timing right away.
Oh,
So it's just a matter of his understanding the idea.
yeah.
The key should be throwing the club head instead of having exaggerated body motion here.
Yeah.
So we'll have to work on
3 years we've been searching the answer.
we have to work on the timing. Okay?
Right.
And then the hand motion plane, this is smaller rectangle is the hand motion plane.
Hand motion.
So it's based on the hand motion. It's also slightly inward because he has to drag it.
Yeah.
So when he has to drag it, then he has to pull it inward here. So
And if I do that, will my club head speed increase, decrease, or stay about the
if
same?
you have good timing, so imagine this, you try to hit something here. Yeah? Instead of this, you wait and then build the tension, and then the goal is to do this here, make this sound, right? That you have to throw the club head in front of your body instead of. So you can change the timing, and then we'll see. But this is one main problem in the junior swing.
Yes. Yeah.
It's quite common, and it's probably because the club is a bit too heavy for junior players. So we're not really using a club proportional to the body size. So for junior players, particularly relatively younger ones, the club may be a bit too long,
Too long.
and then too heavy. The head may be too heavy.
Yeah, we went to fitting place. This is the lightest we can find.
So that's why generally junior players tend to develop a dragging pattern.
Yes. Yes.
But this is a matter of timing, and then so developing tension, and then basically you should have the image of throwing the club head in front of your body instead of keeping it behind and trying to drag it. Dragging is a bit easier because if the club is staying closer, this is a bit easier than throwing it. But it's just a matter of practice. Yeah, I had a good experience with that, almost a 10-year-old boy from India.
That's good to know.
Actually, I had a seminar in Bangkok. The title was Biomechanics of a Junior Swing. So I actually looked at the swing of the junior players carefully, and then realized that that dragging pattern is quite common among junior players.
Yes.
And it's particularly painful to watch drive, chip and putt thing right before the Masters.
Yeah.
If you look at those kids there, the swing motion they use are really bad in many cases. But coaches don't see that as a problem. That's the problem. Particularly the coaches for junior players, sometimes they just let them do whatever they want, as long as
It's distance driven.
the score is decent,
Yeah.
then it just justifies everything. So
I see.
if your coach, if you cannot generate good score, then your coach can be fired. But as long as you generate good score, then who cares? Whatever that swing pattern is.
It's not a science based.
So you have to really understand the scientific foundation of this. Then you can make the decision that this is bad and this is good.
I see.
Yeah. So basically, we see it as a dragging pattern. It's because probably it's a bit too heavy still for him, or he has a quick transition. So in order to do that, the body has to turn early. Then the arm and club stays behind, and then the elbow is stuck. Because of that, he has this dragging pattern. So the hands and club head are moving inward relative to the target line here.
Remember, don't go too back. So what our coach said, don't go too far back. You want to be more front, so you have space.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have the image of throwing the club head in front of your body. So on this side, in the downswing, the club head should be ahead of your hand. It has to go ahead of your hand, right?
And if he do that, will that affect the ball direction? It will go
So you have to throw the ball, throw the club head to the right direction, okay, toward the target.
yeah. Because we're in the middle of changing swings too.
So on the way down, you're developing good speed, enough speed. Using that speed, you let the club head go instead of keep driving all the way, even past the impact point. So when you put a lot of effort after the impact, that means you're wasting your energy. Because the ball impact is already done, but in the follow-through, you still try to drag it hard. So then the follow-through motion becomes exaggerated because you are dragging it here, coming here, and then after the impact, you have this so exaggerated follow-through motion. It's because you don't really throw the club head here. When you throw the club head and after the impact, it's just a matter of slowing down the motion. Okay? There's no reason to put a lot of effort in follow-through. It's like waving your hand, after the taxi already passed by. So, and then, so this is the swing plane. This straight line is the swing plane here, calculated from the club head motion. So usually from horizontal to horizontal, we see a good planar motion of the club. So that's what these dots show. And then in the backswing, let's see what happens. So the club head goes above the swing plane. And then it is coming toward the swing plane here. So he has a good shallowing here. But in the transition, again, he needs to have a bit more time here. So wait until this is completed and then let it go. But essentially what he's currently doing is go high up here, and then before this is completed, his body is already coming down here.
Right.
That's why he has dragging pattern.
Right.
So he has to have a bit more time here. And then, so from here going into this position, and then about here may be enough. Currently your backswing is a bit too big. And that also promotes this early rotation of the body. So before it is completed, your body is already turning. So about here, and then drop it toward the swing plane here. But this last portion here,
Is extra. We don't need
yeah, extra, that promotes early opening of the body.
Yeah.
And then, as you can see on the way down, so you're still dropping the club behind here, and then your body is turning already.
Yes.
So about here, the pelvis is already turned toward the target. So when this happens, when the body turns too early, in order to do that, your pelvis has to slide it this way. Your pelvis has to slide it this way, and then open here. Then generally, the right leg cannot do anything here.
Yeah.
Because that's for my right leg is already.
Yeah, because your pelvis is sliding too much here. So instead, go up here and wait here, and then you should be able to throw here. Then both feet are on the ground. Using that, you can create this turn here, and then throw. But if your body slides and open too much, and then this is dragging, then the right leg cannot do anything. Yeah. So the right heel leaves the ground early. Okay.
Which is all the symptoms we knew.
And then so, as you can see here, when you're entering into the impact position, the pelvis is rotated quite a bit here.
Yeah.
And then the swing plane, the slope of the swing plane is reasonable.
Okay.
So I wouldn't worry about this. But it's just a matter of, I think, the main thing is timing in the transition.
Right.
And the last one, instead of just letting it go more, try to have a more active deceleration here. When you slow down, you have to feel the tension. by slowing down and then let it go. Have you used a fishing pole? So imagine this: you have a fishing pole, and then the string is attached, and at the end there's a hook, right? So you put it, and then you want to throw the hook at the right spot. You feel, okay, that spot, there may be a big fish there. So I need to throw the hook right there. But in order to control that and then actually throw the hook, you have to move your fishing pole back and then throw. So this whole process is actually developing tension in the string. So when you develop tension by moving the fishing pole, and you develop tension in the string, with that you can actually control the motion of the hook, right? But if you lose the tension, it's hard to control the hook motion here. So basically what you're doing is bringing this here and then throw. During that process, you are maintaining good tension. The same thing in the golf swing. At the end of the backswing, you're slowing this down, but you have to develop good tension here by actively slowing down instead of just making it loose here. So instead of the last one, just letting it go, you have to have a good tension built up and then slow down here. And using that tension, you're controlling the downward motion here. But if you lose tension, then the body goes already, and then later the tension will be built, and then you try to drag it. Okay? So in the transition, you need to maintain good tension in the body so that in the downswing you can really start throwing the club head. So we'll practice that with the rope swing. But so the main things I see here is the timing. And then, so for the moment, because of that, this red line here shows the pelvis rotation. Pelvis tends to rotate quite a bit here. So this is the impact. This is elite man's average, but he's turning this much here. The pelvis turn is exaggerated. For junior players, it's somewhat inevitable because junior players are not as strong as the adult players. But this is a bit too much. And then the rest reasonable here. It's a bit too early to sort of make any decisive conclusions here because he's only 12 and his body is not fully grown yet. So, but the main goal at this point should be just to get rid of the main issue in this, which is the timing issue here.
Those don't rotate their hips on their backswing a lot, do they?
In the backswing, you're also turning a bit more, but this is typical. The junior players are more flexible than adults, and then generally adults are relying on their muscles, but the junior players tend to use the range of motion more. So that's why. But this is a bit too much. But I think at this point this is not the main problem. Just the main. If we have to focus on just the one key aspect, that will be the transition. Wait a bit more and then let the club head go. Okay? And then this is the X factor, which is separation between the hips and shoulders here. Generally, what I expect is a continuous separation all the way here to the top of action, this top of action, and then going down here. But here we have a kind of hesitation here. It's because the shoulders are turning not that actively, so it's slowing down quite a bit, and then the pelvis is more going this way early. So with that, there's certain change in the slope here. And also after the top of action, the X factor keeps increasing here. It's because of early action of the pelvis. So again, this basically shows what he currently has. And then in terms of kinematic sequence, I'll change the range a little bit here. So generally, he has a good transition sequence here. So the red line is the pelvis or the hip line, and then there's a tendency of a clustered transition here of the pelvis, thorax, and shoulders here. So in other words, he's turning the direction of rotation. So this is a transition sequence which happens here. So from the backswing to a downswing, his trunk tends to turn together, and then the arms and the club here. So this is because the body is turning early as one unit. So in theory, if you can separate all this, so pelvis turns first and then thorax, shoulders, arms, and club, it'll be perfect. But at the junior stage, particularly at your age, it may not be necessary. But overall, he has a reasonable transition time here. But the thing is, we need to have good timing so that he can really have the image of throwing the club head instead of dragging. So for that, he has to use this motion a lot here. So when you're holding the club here, and at the wrist you have this motion, and also you have this motion here. But what you have to use a lot is actually this motion here, which is happening in the forearm here. So there are two bones in the forearm, and one bone is rolling over another. With this, we have this motion here. It's called the pronation. There's supination here. The pronation supination actually keeps a large range of motion here. So in the downswing, the wrist motion is not just coming from the wrist, but actually you have this pronation supination here. When you use the pronation supination well, then you will be able to throw the club head in front of the hands. But if you just drag it here, then the club head stays pretty much behind the hands, right? So we need to practice this motion here. And imagine that the club is a lightsaber, and you are a Jedi. Okay? Then when you swing, currently what happens is in the backswing you have initial wang, and go up here, and then coming this way here. Okay? Instead of wang here, have the image of wang. So when you make it sound like that, that means you're maintaining the tension here. So wang. So as if you are angry. Yeah, you're angry, but not, instead of wang here early, wang. So if you raise the sound here, then you're putting more effort toward the end of the backswing here. So with that, you can connect the backswing to downswing better. Then you can maintain the tension here. So wang instead of wang. Okay? And then the timing of the peak angular, basically the kinematic sequence pattern is the angular velocity pattern, rotational velocity pattern. The timings of the peak values are okay here. So I wouldn't worry about that. So actually today it'll be a bit easier. We could just we focus on one thing, which is changing the timing a little bit and have the image of throwing the club head instead of dragging it here. And then this is the frontal plane here. And then the middle graph shows the forces he's just, generating with the ground. So the red line is the total force, which is the arrow in the middle here. And then the blue is the force acting on the right side. Green is the force acting on the left side here. As the swing progresses, you will see that the arrows are moving. And then, so overall, here's one peak here, right? So during the backswing, about here, the force becomes the maximum here. But this is a bit too early. As I said, instead of wang early here, wang, So when you put more effort toward the end of the backswing, then this peak will be delayed a little bit here. That's better. And then when this is delayed, then you have a lot better connection here between the backswing to downswing. So it shows early action here, early quick action. So essentially just throw, and then as the club goes here, throw, and then the body already turns like this. Instead, when put more effort toward the end of the backswing, as if you are angry and then you want to hit something hard. Okay? And then this is called the moment arm here, and this is the torque it generates in the front plane, but I'm not going to explain this today because this will simply just distract you. Okay? So the main thing is, I see early action here, but you need to delay this a little bit. And then the main thing is you have to have a good action here near the top of action here. Okay? So for that, have the image of being angry. Okay? So that you want to hit something really hard. But when you are angry, then you don't hit like this. Or you don't just hit like this. Rather, boom, right? So this is, educationally, this is not a good thing to say, but image is something you really hate. And then you want to hit it hard. Okay? You get angry, wind up and angry, and then unleash that anger in the downswing. I'm not a good educator. So that's what I say here, is a bit too early here. So what we'll do is mainly work on the timing and the developing the image of throwing the club head instead of dragging it. Okay, so we can use something light so that he doesn't have to worry about the dragging the heavy object. Any questions? So it's always important to fix the problem than just focusing on the symptoms.
Yes, we practice so much with no improvement. This is
So the symptom is you're going into this stuck elbow, position and so on. But then, so the symptoms show up there, but the cause may not be there. So if you want to change that, then you have to actually change things a lot earlier than that. Because this is continuous motion. So when you see some problems at this stage, then the cause is a lot earlier.
right.
So we need to work on the transition.